Okay, so there were these 4 vegans who went into a farmhouse to drink chai to get... Oh, hang on. Sorry, we started. That was hysterical. Hi, everyone. We are 4 vegans drinking chai in a farmhouse. I decided that I was sick of flying solo. Well, not sick of it, but just maybe you're sick of me flying solo. Anyway, I've got some buddies, so let's introduce you. Adrian is here. Now, he is plant-based. Plant-based people got invited. Adrian's also a doctor. Yes, that's right. A plant-based doctor. You can see why he got invited. Plus, you like my chai.
I love your chai.
Yeah, thanks for coming. And his wife, Jenny. Look how gorgeous she is. Now, she also has a phenomenal amount of knowledge when it comes to medicine and plant-based information. You're kind of like his researcher, aren't you?
I often am.
Yes.
Very much.
I think you should take that title formally.
She's an extension of my brain.
I like that idea.
Or you're an extension of mine.
Or vice versa, yeah.
We can already see how this is going to work. And Kirsty's here because she's also plant-based and she's a writer, although you're not writing about plant-based things. No. We might have to tweak that. And she's grown a baby on plants. It's in her belly, so we can't show it to you right now, but it's going to be here while we're chatting. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so in all seriousness, the reason that I did want to have a bit more of a conversation is because I think, I don't know, I think people have hang-ups about, well, particularly the word vegan, you know, so I know that we all refer to ourselves as being plant-based, and I think that it would be a really good thing to explain to everyone why you decide to reference yourself as plant-based rather than vegan, or if you do call yourself vegan, in what instances?
A lot of people go vegan for a number of reasons. One is animal welfare.
Yeah.
Of course, our footprint on this planet, and then of course there's our health.
Yeah.
I know of vegans who drink Coca-Cola and eat Oreo biscuits.
Yes.
They're vegan. We refer to ourselves as whole food plant-based because that's I suppose that's what we eat.
Yeah.
And we started in eating plants from a health point of view, and then of course as you understand more and more as what you're eating, you appreciate what you're doing for the animals, and you also appreciate what you're doing for the planet.
Totally. Yeah. So do you think, Jenny, then do you think it's a softer thing? You and I have spoken about this before. Do you think it's a softer way of saying essentially that you're vegan without saying that you're vegan?
I think so. And to me, vegan is defined by what you don't eat.
Yeah, true.
Whereas whole food plant-based is defined by all the amazing whole plant foods we do eat. It's more inclusive.
Yeah, it is more inclusive.
And perhaps the word vegan scares people off sometimes.
Yeah.
Whereas if I say I eat a whole food plant-based diet, they want to know, what is that?
Yeah, right.
There's more opportunity for conversation.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a nice way. That's a nice way of doing it. Kirsty, what do you refer to yourself as?
I probably do say vegan a bit more.
Yeah.
Often it seems to be a little bit more accepted or maybe known. I tried really hard to not have any labels.
Yeah,
so if we go out for dinner, I'd just say, oh, I'll have this, but without the cheese or without whatever. Oh, are you vegan? Yes, I am. That's just much easier to say that.
Yeah,
I'm not one of those vegans. I'm a plant-based vegan.
I'm not one of those vegans.
I'm not one of those
There's
vegans.
There's a t-shirt. I'm not one of those vegans. Yeah,
I'm not a vegan that drinks Coke or has Hungry Jacks, as we were just discussing.
Right. Yeah.
It's just easier not to label it sometimes.
So what was the defining moment? What was the light bulb moment, or not even that? Maybe it was a feeling or an experience that you just went, oh, that's it. I can't actually eat animals anymore.
I'll follow on from Jenny's answer because that's how it actually started.
Yeah.
It was actually, you could say, a health scare.
I guess I was told I had a low bone density. And I thought, well, that's really strange. I grew up on a dairy farm. I drink a lot of milk. So I started to do some research.
Yeah.
And then the more I learnt, the more I changed and realised, wow, there's a much healthier way to eat than the way I've been taught. So I started reading The China Study by T. Colin
amazing
Campbell.
book.
And as I finished it, I handed it to Adrian and said, "You have to read this."
And it got complicated because at the time we were on a European trip and going around Italy and Malta looking for gluten-free vegan foods in the world of pasta was
And
getting
cheese.
and cheese was getting very frustrating. But as I read the China study, the thing that came through that I thought about was, I'm so angry. Why wasn't I taught this in medical school?
Yeah, right.
Having said that, when we had our nutrition lecture during our half of our nutrition studies, I was actually playing 8-ball that morning. No, that's an exaggeration, but that's how it was in the
Not much
70s.
education.
We didn't get much education.
What would it have been like hours?
Yeah. Are we?
2 days, 2
No,
weeks?
it wasn't actually that at all. What you actually said was, and we treat it with lifestyle. So eat low-fat milk and less cheese.
Wow.
It was all. This is in the 70s and early 80s we're talking about here.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't actually more dietetic. Okay, this is the sort of food, and these are the food groups. That was for the dietitian, or refer to a dietitian.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that people medical schools are a little bit more proactive now in actually explaining to students, this is why we do this, this, and this.
Well, you have a son who's a doctor now.
Yes.
Would he back that up? Would he say that there is more nutritional?
He did a
Teaching.
This is an-
little,
yes.
not much.
Yeah, right. But he's got you guys.
That's
so-
right.
Yeah.
He's learnt a lot from us.
Speaking to some medical students, and there's more and more now who are actually plant-based, but a lot of them in that generation actually become vegan for animals and our footprint.
Yeah.
Advice I've given to a couple of them is, well, toe the party line, get your degree, and then do it properly.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, well, that's a good way.
And I hope I'm not going to be caned in the comments of this video by other people.
Leave a comment, caning or not. Dr. Adrian Christie.
Thank you.
Just preface it with that so we know you're not referencing these other gorgeous girls.
No, no. Okay.
Kirsty, what happened for you? What was
It was a bit of a snowball effect. So I remember before my wedding, I was getting very healthy. So doing the gym, doing all the healthy eating, and start reading what's the best way to eat, and cutting out red meat and only eating chicken and fish. And so I started down that path, and then the more I read, the more I was like, why am I eating meat at all? This is actually terrible for me. And I was feeling so good. I was so healthy and just feeling fantastic. So it was probably a year in the grand scheme of things to actually cut out all meat. And then I think I met you, and then the dairy kicked in after that, after having a few conversations over the trestle table at the farmers market.
Yeah.
About dairy and just learning about that whole side of things, and it was just appalling to me. So
Yeah.
that was easy. I was more than happy to get rid of milk. Cheese was a little bit harder, but you know, you get by
Yeah.
once you realise. And I think then becoming a mum and starting to breastfeed, it all really came together for me, and I just thought,
Sure.
how can we do this? How
Yeah.
can we take one animal away from their mother to have their milk? But the thought of having breast milk is disgusting to us. Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, somewhere in that, there's a flip in your brain. I really believe that. It's not just I've started eating this way. It's a total transformation that takes place in your body, in the way that you think, the things that you see, the way that you look at the world. And I wonder if, you know, a lot of people, because there are angry vegans, we know angry vegans, and we can all get angry too, but I think that there's that unfortunate tag that goes with veganism. But the flip side of that is that, I mean, for me, it was, I reckon I was maybe, you know, 3 or 4 months just ahead of your trajectory, but we were basically on the same path. And because we're in this farmhouse, we're completely surrounded by dairy cows that aren't ours, but, you know, I get to bear witness to all of their lives, and watching the calves being born in the middle of winter, you know, I'd be able to stand at that back fence and I'd see all of the herd come around usually a young heifer when she has her first calf. And these cows are very well looked after, great farmer, all of that. So best case scenario. And I would watch this, you know, steaming mass come out into the depths of winter, and then all of the other cows were around, and it was like watching a midwife. You know, they pass information from where the birth is happening back to the nose of the cow that's giving birth, and it's just extraordinary to see that social aspect that is so apparent in cows. Well, you would have seen it growing up too, Jenny. But then within 24 hours, you know, this little creature, it's standing up, it's drinking, its legs are wobbling, it's trying to keep warm, and its mother has produced everything it needs, exactly what it needs, just like you do for your children and like you did for your kids. And then a truck comes along and dogs start to circle this poor little calf, and it gets separated off. The mother is, I know it sounds dramatic, but it is a scream. They're actually, it's not a bellow, they're screaming. And she was running after the trailer where her calf was. She still had afterbirth trailing behind her. Her udders were huge, and she was just willing to do anything to get back to her baby. And I mean, I just stood there going, oh, wow, I can't take part in this. You know, I'd always told myself, oh, cheese isn't mean. Like, I'd been vegetarian for like 20 years, but, you know, cheese isn't mean. There's nothing bad about cheese. Yeah. And then that happened, and I think that there's that moment where it might not even be so much the experience, but it's the ability to open yourself up to going, oh, maybe I didn't have the full story here, or maybe I didn't get this right, you know. And so, yeah, that was...
People have this impression that cows give milk. They don't give it.
No.
It's there for their baby.
Yeah.
I think,
They have to have a baby to have milk.
That's
right. That's right.
It's
Totally.
something that people don't think about.
So, Jenny, when you were growing up on your dairy farm, I know that you and I have chatted a bit about how your dad kind of went through that range of emotions. Do you want to tell us about that?
I remember as quite a young child commenting how we would take the calf off to the market and hearing the mother cow cry.
Yeah.
And whenever I spoke to Dad about that, my dear Dad, he would get quite angry and say, look, we just can't think about that, because that was the way he provided for his family.
Yeah.
And I know now that he felt that, but what could he do?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was hard. He would just get angry and shut the conversation down, because I'm sure the more he thought about it, the harder it would be for him.
Yeah.
And he was a lot happier after he became a grape grower.
Yes, he once we finished with the dairy farm, he said, I'm much happier with plants.
Yeah, right.
And he could even sleep in till 6 o'clock as well in the morning as well.
Yeah, the dairy
See,
was
it's all
traumatic
good.
for him
Yeah.
in many ways.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, and it's interesting with the osteoporosis thing as well, or the bone density thing, because that's a
Yes.
presumption that people
I
make.
know.
Do you get any hassle about that, being plant-based?
Not so much anymore. I went through years of the pressure and stress, and it was just, here are the facts, read this book, read this information. And I'm still learning, I'm still finding things out, and listening to studies. Like the other day, there was a Science Versus podcast, and it was science versus veganism, and then there was science versus milk.
Wow.
And the whole thing blew cow's milk out of the water in terms of calcium intake and then environmental impacts.
Yeah, sure.
Huge. And it's getting more mainstream, which is really good to know.
Yeah.
it's positive. But yeah, I had a lot of people contact me going, wow, I had no idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't push those things on people. And generally, if I say something, they go, yeah, whatever, Kirsty, we've heard it all before. But if it comes from somewhere else, yeah, it's a little bit more powerful.
Yeah. Which brings me to, what did your mum say when you told her that you were vegan? Except we're going to need tea first. So you better come back for the next episode and we'll give you the answer.